So, welcome to Software Craftspeople India community. And SCI is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to connecting individuals with the software craftsmanship mindset. Our mission is to foster a community where members can improve their skills and get better at the software craft. We are more than 2,700 people around in the meetup community. We organize talks, workshops aimed at enhancing the craft of software development. Throughout the year, we invite several industry experts to share insights with our community. Incubite is the founder and sponsor of this community, and we are a company focused on delivering well-crafted software solutions. So today, into this community event, we have Victor with us. Victor is an AI-Augmented Java Champion with 20 years of industry experience. We have had talks of Victor in the past. We love hearing Victor, and he has trained thousands of engineers across more than 150 companies and is a sought-after conference speaker for delivering engaging top-rated technical talks. So yeah, welcome to our community, Victor. It's always a pleasure having you here. And yeah, over to you. I'll not waste your time.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Right, so let me share first. You should see my screen and you should see my community. European Software Crafters, 9,200. So yes, I am so happy to be here to talk about what the heck happens with the code. What the heck happens with the code? So yeah, we have some points to cover. Yeah, indeed, group after group, they report me more and more that they write by hand less than 5% of their code. And I mean professional teams, not business vibing something over a weekend. So I want to discuss with you today how teams enforce architectural standards in AI-generated code. So we're going to look into some ways in which to put structure in the generated code by AI. What kind of metrics can we use as an automatic loop for coding agents? What should we tell the agent to look after when generating the code so that we have less to say when we code review the thing, when we actually look into the generated code, right? And how can we optimize the bandwidth? The bottleneck today is the communication bandwidth between the agents and us being the weakest link. How fast can we get in the loop, in the mindset, how fast can we get aligned with what the AI is proposing or what AI did in the code? So techniques to improve the signal to noise. We're going to see pictures, we're going to see even videos, maybe practical approaches to scaling. Yeah, that's what we are after, right? We want to go faster. The business dreams, we're going to go 3x. The industry says we're going to go 1.3x after repaying the technical debt, the historical, monumental technical debt accumulated over years. You cannot run faster until you repay the shit before. Then unit testing. Sorry, yes, please. If you want to speak. Actually, if you have a thought, a question, for now, drop it in the chat. I'm trying to leave 15 minutes for a Q&A at the end. Maybe you can even speak, right? But for time efficiency, drop it in the chat, please. So technical debt, then doing some acceptance tests on the critical things that were missing to get high coverage and confidence, right? Only after that, you optimize the CI. You fix the flaky test. Do you have flaky tests that fail 3% of runs? Like, let's see, the test is now red. The test is now green. Flaky test. You want to fix those. You want to speed up the CI. Fix the flaky test so that the build is stable. Add more acceptance tests. Repay the monumental historical technical debt that you've accumulated over years of business whipping you faster. Sorry. Anyway, so so this acceptance test, speed up the CI, all of these things you need to do before you become a 10x learner. And only after you start really taking serious. But learner is a guy that never says, Claude asked me something I didn't understand, and I said, yes. 10x learner never says this. Familiar? An architect asks you a question, you say, oh, and then your job is done. You do not do that if you are serious, if you are taking things seriously. And I believe I've heard the Incubite doing something phenomenal that I'm now teaching in my workshops. They do mob reviewing the markdown files that the AI suggests the plan, not only the plan, the design and architecture, depending on what the framework you're using for spec-driven. That document in which AI sketches how it wants to approach the problem. And I believe it's one of the best things to do mob review together, 5 developers versus a 20-year-old architect called Opus. So it's a good, healthy, let's say, balance of powers. If you have 7 years of experience and you face Opus, you're going to be dead. I am dead. If I go alone to Opus is killing me. It's going to freaking kill me. Just gonna. If you are not that lucky to work in such a company oriented to so much craft, to so much, let's say, growth, and it's also very healthy for the juniors and mediors to upgrade. If anyone asks, what is that? People are going to help. Hey, let's have a discussion. Right? If you're not that lucky, at least call support. To who? Call some other backend to help you in the fight. In case you're wondering, this is what I do with my tokens. I do animations. So anyway, yeah, whatever. Do your thing. Huh? Call support, other backends or other colleagues, devs, to help you in the fight if your brain goes flat. When your brain goes dead, support. We are taking heavy fire. Yes, I am reviewing the line 130 in the markdown, and my brain died. It will become a life skill of engineers to know, to detect when their brain left. It become a life skill to know where to take the break, take the head in the shower. But it's going to become a life skill of self-awareness to know when your brain died. Because the addiction of staying in the loop and whipping Claude to do stuff you don't know, it's very high. It's very pleasant. Look how much stuff I can get done. Yeah, but you are not in the loop. You are vibing in the corner saying, go, 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 and you don't have a clue what Claude is doing, right? You don't want to be that guy if you are a professional, right? So call support. If you are really, really alone, hey, Claude, vibe me a little experiment project I can fiddle with, and after understanding, adding it to my personal, let's say, this is something I am exploring, personal, let's say, knowledge pills, GitHub repository. So you should build a GitHub repo with little experiments that your agent vibed. They're very minimalistic experiments you can vibe to get to understand what the heck is the outbox pattern, for example. Some pattern that you want to explore, right? Have the AI vibe a minimalistic example so we can study it outside of the complexity of the existing code, understand it. That should be your CV, basically. I know this repo of 300 solutions. I can combine them with Claude, understanding what they can do. Right? So practical approaches, they all try to squeeze more productivity of us. That the era of free tokens is over. Every company I meet, they try to get some return on investment, and put yourself in their shoes. They are entitled to do that. I mean, really, I've burned quota from my wife for $250. I'm not really going to pay for this subscription, but if you're a company, you're going to pay a ton of money for these things. Right? So business wants, we get them after this, in this order. You do have to, but let's be honest a bit, do use those tokens to improve your efficiency. Don't start building tools that are not really relevant for the business. I mean, we need to be in the same boat, right? They want to get some return on investment, do that. So improve your efficiency or brain effort, like save brain effort. Good, fun. These are some examples. Oh, and one more thing. It came to I don't think Incubate, or did you? No, someone else said. I found a very good idea to reduce cognitive debt. Cognitive debt is when AI keeps generating code for you up to a point in which the entire team doesn't have a clue what the software is doing anymore. 3 months in, you're shipping 2 times faster, and at some point you're like, what happens in there? One idea someone had is, hey, Claude, ask me a quiz. Ask me and my team a quiz about all the design decisions approved, human approved, don't imagine, this sprint. You are retrospecting the design decisions where you should be steering, right? You are retrospecting the design decisions you took during the sprint, at the end of the sprint, you do this quiz. Hey, do we still know what we did? Are humans still in the loop of decisions? Can they explain what they decided and why they decided this sprint? Not that they take 3 times more decisions per sprint. This is also very fun. It can point you to places in which you're not aware of what's happening, and it can highlight more places in which you need to think into the problem, into more techniques, more practices. Maybe you don't understand how these 2 things combine. Let's spend several hours together as a team on that technique, on that topic. Yeah. So, yeah. And something else happens, unfortunately. Business whips us to go faster, Victor, faster. But then they don't realize that generating code is done. Next comes other bottlenecks. And there is a study, came out quite some time ago, March, in which they study where is the time wasted once the code generation happens with no high quality, but where is the next bottleneck? Next bottleneck, all the developer teams tell me the same thing, code reviews. I have to review so much code, it's becoming unmanageable, so much tons of code. And then meetings, organizational friction, approvals, frictions, CI build, taking long time. Fear, low test coverage. We can't run that fast because we don't have that kind of DevOps culture, which is immature. I'm not saying you can't fight this, is that you need to tell the business, guys, this is the next bottleneck we have, immature DevOps culture. Maybe we don't have any kind of blue-green deployments. Maybe let's invest on those. For example, feature flags. We need feature flags in production. Let's do that, for example. So all of these are approvals, are going to slow you down, hold the organization down. And you as a developer, you need to help them get the money for those tokens by pointing out what slows you down. Hey, these meetings are too many, are too boring, too large. I don't know. Maybe the code reviews, I will talk about this more. Maybe the CI, to optimize. And of course, you're going to put an AI to optimize. Claude, go optimize the build. Claude, go write more acceptance tests. Claude, implement this to me in production. And for meetings, it's a fun thing. You can ask Claude to summarize meetings, to reduce the long discussion. So let's talk about the main topic. The main topic today is quality guardrails. How do we get this? How do we make sure the agent doesn't derail the architecture? I'm going to end this part here. Can I collapse this? 1 second. Collapse. Come on, 1 second. I'm struggling with my notepad. Can I? No? Anyway. Let's talk about techniques to improve signal per noise ratio. I won't start this way. You see, code reviews. Well, not even code, code reviews, technically. Code reviews. How can I optimize? How can I understand code faster? Understand code, not only code, design faster. What techniques can we use? Well, one of the oldest, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So one of the things I want to emphasize first is picturing, the diagramming. So in some projects of mine, but I have a diagram. Let me show you. I'm going to put this in front of you, and I'm going to ask you first, what is the biggest risk of a diagram? It looks very nice. What is the biggest risk every time you create a diagram? Gets outdated, bravo. Drift. Gets outdated. No one is going to update this. Beautiful. Have a look here. All the lines are architect tested to be reflected in code. What do you mean? Well, if I open the domain of this project, you're going to see the packages pertaining to this test or recipe. The packages are there. The lines and boxes are proven by a test. What do you mean by a test? There is in this project a packages.plant.uml because you're going to find. Thank you. Because you're going to probably ask at some point the Git location of this project that you can just point your Claude to tell you want this or that. It's in the chat for you right now. So from here, you can see here. What do you mean adhere to plant.uml? These are the project classes, basically. These classes could adhere to the plant UML diagram you just saw, packages plant UML. I don't have time to demo this, but trust me, if I remove a line from here and I run the tests will fail. If AI ends up introducing a new dependency in a certain feature, which connects the model to the DTO in some dark way, it won't be able to pass the tests until it puts in this diagram the line between the two boxes. So it's one-to-one with packages based on a tool called ArcUnit, which is ported in all the main languages of the world. And if you don't have it in your own language, you can just point to it with whatever language you use, and Claude will create a replica. It's very easy, really. Look at the imports, really. So these lines and the packages are reflected in this diagram, so you can view that very clear. Now, something that I'm actually missing, and I'm only honestly curious to search that, plant UML diff tool. This is something on my next to-do list. This project literally needs more love. I would like to have an ability when I review a PR to be shown the diagram before the PR and the diagram after the PR with the line that was added in addition, let's say this, highlighted in red or crossed out if it was destroyed. So I want to see the dynamics of the code change, not just a snapshot, to tell me, okay, this PR brought this new line. This is a new topic. This is something that we're gonna certainly get more love from the community. It's like overviewing the actual code structure, the logical code structure packages or modules in a way to highlight what has changed. Right? So plant UML diff tool. It shows in red stuff, right? Good. So this is a test. This is basically a diagram kept in sync by a test. And AI, that's the magic. When AI fails the test, AI is gonna go there and is gonna fix the test by changing the diagram to reflect the reality. This diagram, however, it's fully generated. And it's just using reflection from Java to extract class names, links, and fields. And again, 100% in sync with code. Every change happens, this is gonna get updated. So the first thing I review in a pull request, if it is whether there are any changes to any of these diagrams. This. And the DB plant is the database schema, of course, as constructed from the incremental scripts. So I'm running all the incremental scripts, flyway, DB, maintain. I'm building an actual database in a Docker, and then I'm spitting out this dump of the schema into this file. So any change you do to the schema is going to appear here. So a picture worth 1,000 words, especially if it's in dynamic, like what is going to change. This gets red. Ooh, nice. You see, I'm trying to visualize the landscape before I step in, and I can do better than that. This is a static shape. This is a static shape. I can visualize complexity. Again, it's all here. Code city is the most impressive. This is the stuff I just did last week. The idea, of course, code did not did. The surface of this is proportional to the bytes of the files, roughly to the lines, how much text is in there. The height of this box is proportional to the complexity, roughly approximately equal to the number of tests you would have to have. How many branches the code has in this class? Oh, not code scene and code city, where exactly this is the inspiration. And the color of this is the number of commits. How much churn did that have, right? I should run this on the Spring Framework code base, Spring Code City. I ran it before, but not sure if I have it here already. It's not 3D back then. Let's see if I can show this. Spring dash, no, Spring, and that's it, slash. Can I find it? It's on my file. Probably it's a bit tricky. Spring, I lost it. There was a map similar to that, but that showed, let me dig for it for a second, please. It's not hard. It's somewhere in the, but that's 2D, two-dimensional. In the point is, Spring Framework, good. The point is to get a picture of where the complexity or bugs or churn in commits is. So this is the package Spring Core. If I click here, this zooms in and you can see method writer. And if you are curious to see what's so complex about that, I can open it up for you. Control click, open in Visual Studio, done. What exactly is so complex in here? Well, it's a lot of if statements, a lot of branching. You can see. Right? So you get an overview of where complexity is in a multi-dimensional thing, like fan in, how many classes depend on me, how many classes do I depend on, how much commits are there, and if your commits are linked with Jira, how many of those commits were bug fixes. So if you see a class which is large and complex and also frequently bug fixed, that's a source of pain. So you would have more, let's say you might even know when to draw your attention to your agent that is stepping in hell. You know, those places, those classes that you are really scared of, right? Basically, this provides you an overview of where horrors are, right? And I'm going to get this code city close to that feature as well. This is 3D, it gets 3 axes of complexity. It's about visualization, the code, nothing more, nothing more. Visualizing, you know, when this becomes very useful, when the business, the new age of writing software is the business vibe coding their ideas and then handing you, when they're done, 10,000 lines of code. So when they hand you that code, where should you look for problems? Where is the horror part? This can guide you a bit, huh? And hey, this class is very, very complex. Why? Show it to me. This, okay. Okay, this is a silly project, but you get the point. So visualizing the code complexity in a, right? Okay, code city. There are some other things going on with plant. Plant tends to be very, very volatile. If I remove a line, it completely changes shape. So again, this can be, there are ways to fix this. It's on my to-do list as well. So I showed you what? I showed you diagrams which are kept in sync with the reality by being generated programmatically. I showed you diagrams which are kept in sync with the reality by tests that snap the AI to fixed if in case they get drifted. I showed you a replay of the code in a way that allows you to visualize parts of it. And the last, and the one that I'm most proud of, is the visualization of a interaction. Again, not hallucinated out of the code, but extracted from reality. So I have my own Vibe project training assistant, long story. But here, exactly here, this baby over here is a sequence diagram. Now, come on, render. What happens with you? Render. This sequence diagram over here, which is currently still rendering. Come on, thank you. And what's wrong with you? Again. Anyway, you get the point here. The sequence diagram over here reflects the reality of my test running in end-to-end. It's a bit involved on what I'm asking here. So you see, second participant gets cached slide. Second participant gets cached slide. This is a test, a feature file test, marked with this annotation. When I mark a feature file, an acceptance test like this, with this annotation, during my end-to-end tests, this test is traced with OpenTelemetry. So this little 110 here means that this trace that I started with a get from the browser of the participant triggered the WebSocket update back, triggered this method to be called, a post to that, and the WebSocket back to me. All of them are linked together by trace IDs. And if you don't know what trace IDs are, you are in deep problems. So I am inspecting, I am tracing the end-to-end tests to get, so if I rerun my tests, this gets regenerated. So it's about having a snapshot of the reality from the tests themselves. This is how I found the race condition in my tool. There were some unfortunate coincidence of messages exchanged in some wrong way, and I was able to track the problems using this visualization. So this is for the critical flows you have end-to-end tested. You can record what they actually exchange between these. This could be microservices, right? First microservice, second, third, and fourth, and fifth. These are browsers and my machines, but this can equally be microservice. So this is a dynamic view of the code. So what did I show you? Packages, plant UML, arc, unit tested. I showed you reflection, building, domain model, class diagram, reflection generated from the code. I showed you the database SQL represented as an entity relational diagram, extracted, dumped basically, dumped from the constructed database, incrementally constructed. I showed you code city visualization, or codescapes, whatever, code scene. Visualization of complexity / churn / bugs / size. Find your preference. And I showed you this sequence plant UMLs extracted from critical end-to-end tests, which are technically acceptance tests, to show you what talks to what. So this is the logical diagrams. These are the important data structures. This is the persistent storage. This is where complexity and logic accumulates. This is the chain of interaction in hot, very critical flows. They were always possible, but very complex to set up, and no one had the time to set them up. Now, done. So I'm trying to improve the bandwidth, signal to noise. I'm trying to improve by showing you pictures, right? This is something I really, really, really love. I want to see a picture before and ideally, and not yet done in my case, right? Ideally, in dynamic, before, after PR, still to do to me. This is for me just a unicorn, a dream. And they are all kept one-to-one in sync with code. There is no hallucination, no AI summarization, just kept in sync with code. Kept in sync, perfect sync with code. In Git hooks with CI action, somehow you kept them up to date. There is no drifts out. These are just some ideas from these classes of diagrams. You can go further, right? Also, there is the OpenAPI. The OpenAPI here, API, is another way to look at the, is there a way to visualize this better? I believe there was a plugin from IntelliJ. Why don't I have it? 1 second. Swagger? Editor, install, 600,000, good. Oh, really? Okay. So there is visualization of Swagger that will give you a better visual. Mind your brain, huh? Mind your brain. When you review, yeah, good. Now, design metrics. Is there anything else here? Let me think. The code reviews. Yes. There is another thing you can do about code reviews in general. Code reviews should, human code reviews. Many people say, hey, have you reviewed the 1,000 lines PR? 1,000 line PR coming up. What do you do with 1,000 PR? Do you really review it? Please don't lie to me. Come on. Or would you put another LLM to review that? You're going to call Claude. Claude, do you see that? Review. Do you really review that, or you just whip? Honestly, humans code review should be guided. Don't lie. You've reviewed. Crawling through the code. I can put you this. This is because you said it in the chat. Let's see if you can see this. Can you see the video? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. I'm failing.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea.
We never needed AI to do crap. This is 6 years old. We never needed AI to do bad code. Come on, really, right? So, The point is, if I can have this stupid moment, the settings here. Why do I see those? Strange. Not able to. Come on, man, get out of here. Anyway, LGTM. I mean, looks good to me. Never read. Just. Don't lie, you've reviewed. Better should be guided, the reviews. Guided reviews is the future, guys. Guided reviews. You should be reviewing. So I propose today to you, time-boxed review for 30 minutes until your brain dies anyway. The attention span of an adult is about 30 minutes. So you should be, it's a time-boxed review. So the game is how much relevant things can you pump in those 30 minutes of you being awake? What should you review first? You should review first selected areas, packages. Some parts of the code are more critical than others. For example, stuff having to do with domain, maybe you want to remember to review that first, right? Then, places where the AI reviewing the code before you found stuff. So wherever the judge, you won't review the code alone. Of course, you're going to send the dog. Yo, Claude, review. After Claude reviews the code, you're going to see places where the reviewer found stuff. You're going to be reviewing those first. The moments in which the reviewer found crap. Especially if the writer disagrees, saying it's not an issue. You know what I mean? Sometimes the author of the agent writing the code ignores the reviews, saying, false positive. I love that. So the actual agent, which is supposed to correct the findings of the second agent, the first agent says, looks good to me. That's exactly when you want your attention, right? Good stuff. The low confidence areas of any agent involved in the game. Of any agent involved in the game, if any agent has any emotion about not sure, those are high in the sorted code review. I'm talking about a sorted code review. Have a cup of coffee, look in the code, the 30 minutes, guided from, and on the lines that there were blood, lines are marked with heat, depending on where the battles were. I mean, like where you should pay attention. So you go look at diagrams to understand where you are changing stuff. You go see whether some data structures changed, whether some critical flows changed in the plan to. Okay, good. After that, you sink in onto the places in the code that the agents guide you that you should have your attention. Like sinking into the solution. You don't want to review mappers. You don't want to review mappers, but you might want to review high in the chain acceptance tests, not mock full unit tests, but acceptance tests, feature, like high level black box functionality level tests. You want to review those carefully. Is this what I mean? Yes. Business, come and help me. Is this what I mean? Yo, QA, what do you say? Are we good? And of course, before you ever lay your eyes on the code review, something that you need to have in place, Sonar, of course, which will tell well shit is. Please enjoy this. I worked so hard for this yesterday. Have you seen the shit? Let's again. Sonar. Crap. It's there. Okay. So you're gonna be having all the tools you can install: Sonar, PMIDI, check style, linters, static code analysis for security, sneak, all the drill, all that you want to put that was always so hard to set up. Right now you are not doing it. You're gonna take, you see, I want Sonar yesterday. Go. Good. There is no excuse you not to set up this anymore. The free tire. Why not? Really? Right? So if a machine can catch something, humans should never see that. Humans should never see that. How do we enforce architectural guidance? Now there are two answers to this. Answer A, if the box is small enough, I don't care about the architecture inside. This is a bit anarchic, a bit evil in a sense. Because Fable will do it, will clean it. Now you know Fable then is back in. Trump has moments of. Okay. The point is, LLMs are gonna get smarter. So to some extent, whether you'd use hexagonal architecture, layered architecture, vertical slice architecture, modular, it doesn't really matter much as long as the complexity is decent complexity. You could play that card to me and say, I have microservices. I don't give a heck what's inside. I can just burn it to the ground. Really, this is something fun. Let me ask this to a friend. A second here. What is the number of lines of code of Java that can entirely fit in the context window of an opus, so it could potentially flush the same code in a different language, for example, with very little effort? How much it fits the brain of an opus? Something like 10,000 lines, I think. If your service is like small, Opus can actually ingest the whole thing, turn it to Rust, to Python. So there is this trend that people are saying, if the microservice is small, Victor, don't care. I don't really buy that yet. Let's see. 20,000 lines of code in Java. Oh, up to 100,000. What do you know? So Opus can read the whole thing, dump the whole thing. That's something interesting to know, right? It's not going to be necessarily perfect, but it fits in the brain of. B, Arc unit, skills, CloudMD. And then I missed to say one of the most important rules. How do we act on this? Look, consider your agent the best employee your company ever got to hire. The poor guy just came in today, has no clue about your practices, your code base, your culture, your environment, the friction points. So onboard this brilliant opus into your team gently, just like you would with a new hire. People expect they put opus and the opus just does great job. Okay, if your code is in good shape, it might. But if there are a lot of backdoor politics, cultural things, unspoken things, shitty Jira tickets, or worse, you didn't give access to Jira to Claude, you need to babysit, basically. AI babysitter is a new job description. It's a new job description taking a lot of parenting skills, patience, to baby spoon knowledge into Claude, wherever Claude does it, whatever an agent, not only Claude, whenever an agent does it wrong, you correct the Claude MD. You correct a custom agent that was in your flow, building something for you. You correct, you improve the reviewers, for example, the reviewer agents. Any of these components. I don't have time to walk you through the whole story. I have a monumental workflow here in which I extracted best practices from a ton of companies, all converging towards the same thing. They all do the same thing eventually. So all of these agents, skills, Claude MD, all the agents involved in all these parts, including the review agents, everything is going to be improved with time. That's my point. So you need not to rush and slap the agent. You need to try to ask yourself this 5-star question. What can I add to the knowledge of my agent skills, the customer, so this mistake never comes again to me? So I want you to think of AI failures as opportunities to tell it more about your project. I don't want to phrase it like every time AI does it wrong, it's your fault, although it's true. I want to phrase it as an opportunity. When AI fails on a task, you didn't give it enough context because Opus writes better code than Victor. Opus 4.5 wrote better code than Victor. Better Java than Victor Java Champion. So come on, really, give it more context. Figure out what was missing from its knowledge. Stupid example from my workshop. I asked the agent to grill me, to brainstorm me on doing a pagination on a grid. And the agent asks me if I want browser pagination or backend pagination, that database. And when that question comes from the agent, the group says backend, of course. But I ask, if you say backend, of course, how come the agent didn't say, of course? Why did the agent even ask you this question? What does the agent not know? Volumetry. Okay. So then I go to Claude MD and I say, this table in the database has about 1 million records. And if I run the brainstorm again, it will never propose to do browser pagination. It will always go to the query pagination, of course. So this proves the point. You don't want to be asked stupid questions by the agent. You want to be asked subtle design decisions, not the basics, like, duh. Never say duh. If you say duh, it means you failed. You didn't babysit the agent properly. Next level would be to allow your agent to query metrics from your production. So it can go to find, to count how many rows are in that table. But that's a bit science fiction for many companies today. For now, just babysit the thing. Great. Wonderful. And I think I kinda covered. Yes. Exactly. This is the main topic basically today. How did we try to solve this code reviewing thing? So again, summary. We've put static tools to check sonar, linters, RQ tools, scripts, linters, boom, check style, all the tools you can have. After that, we've employed another LLM to judge the first, have them fight a bit. And then when the human comes into play, there are images for him. There are guided reviews for the human. And there is also a pre-deployed application they can click through with effort. So you're optimizing around the next bottleneck in software engineering, code review. And if you do this properly in 9 months, perhaps, 6 months, 9 months, you can review half of the code. Hey, what did I say? If you see 50 code reviews coming in, impeccable, or at least you don't find anything after the first 30 minutes. If you see that statistically over and over again, what chances are that tomorrow, it's a bit risky, I know, it's a bit dangerous, I know, I feel you, but 6 months, 9 months in, people tell me in these teams that they barely review just half of the code, even less. And that's when you actually got 2x faster. Next thing you do, you optimize around the other bottlenecks. In the while, you see what other things in your workflow of the company can you optimize. One of the coolest things you can do is to allow the business to do vibe coding of their ideas and brainstorming with an agent alone. So there are like other very fun things you can try to do before you to unblock other sources of delay and good. So guys, I'm kind of done. I tried to give some time to questions. So if any one of you has any question, any thoughts, any debate you want to have with me, please, I beg you, feel free to drop them in the chat. Maybe even speak how you wherever you feel more comfortable. We have 10 minutes for ideas, guardrails, in the sense of scripts, tests that fail, running on the CI build. Please tell me.
May I ask you a question? Yes, nice to see you back. How to ask the business?
Please.
How to ask to the business, please wipe code the application, because maybe they are not mentally ready for it. How do you suggest to approach that?
To ask the business what to wipe? You mean?
So yeah, to wipe code. To wipe code.
Yeah. You do not ask them unless they want it. Usually the business would love to do that. In my groups, whenever I have a product owner in the house, they are the first people to try the vibing coding. Let me try. Because they have ideas. And they always wanted to wait for the freaking developer to get them real. Especially if they are passionate about the product they're building, like they should be. They will be the first guys to ask for to vibe. The problem is, how do you handle the developers who are now faced with 10,000 lines of crap every week? That's a better battle, right? But no, the business is not a good business if they don't want to vibe code.
Okay.
Based on the stable product, they vibe their idea, they come Monday to you with it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Demo them. Call them in your, especially if you make them fall in love, especially with a visual thing. Show them the UI of their application and tell them, now go ask a change. Don't type, dictate. You know what I mean? And then the guys are talking, enter, 5 minutes to coffee, and then, hey, look, your UI change is done. Bam! Whoa, shit, really? Yes. So they will fall in love forever.
Okay, I see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please, Sebastian.
One question from my side. Yeah, so I see that in your flow, you're evaluating the output and then you're manually saying or not, then prompting the agent, okay, modify some skills, some agent description. So when
you want self, right?
Yeah, when do you introduce the self-learning, and how would you implement it? How do you handle that?
It's a bit science fiction for many teams I work with, but technically nothing stops you from retrospecting the conversations you had at the end of the day. I was told recently by one of my trainees about something called Hermes Agent, which has this deep learning loop, which tries to self-improve with time. Based on these ideas, based on just tell close conversations throughout the week, what skills can be improved in any obvious way, submit PRs to improve those skills, or do the changes, like auto-learning. What people told me that they do this, they are flooded with a ton of feedback, maybe too much. It's a churn of ideas that you need to then declutter. So you need another agent, a deep agent, how they call it, to discern and to know what should be in the skill, what should go in the custom agent in the workflow, what should go in the CloudMD, what should go in, where do I put that thing? It's quite interesting. I can't really show you this yet. I didn't do it yet. I saw it, I didn't do it. But it's the future, yes. If we want humans to review the domain code, would a sensible prerequisite that be for us to separate domain code from the infrastructure code? Yes, very good, Misha. If you want to cut, you should make a hexagonal architecture. Cut a line around the code that you claim to be clean and push all the infrastructure or garbage out. The risk is that the business rule would slip into the infrastructure and you will never review it. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, you focus more on the area that you know is going to be more intense in business rules, but the risk is that outside of this area, there are other places in which logic has flipped to. So if you play hexagonal, and if most of your logic is in the center, one day some very important business rules just got implemented in the wrong place. It's a double edge, and you can't really hard code a script or a test that fails if business rule is outside. What is a business rule? So it's a discussion. Would it be sensible to put architectural boundaries? Yes, you could say in code or show in the code that you are using a hexagonal architecture. By the way, another very advanced that I never actually got the courage, honestly, to put it in my project is called J-molecules. It's a set of architectural standard rules for example, hexago. You annotate things with this hexagonal. You annotate application, primary, adapter, and then there are sets of rules that enforce. If AI sees these rules, it immediately understands what it should do, and you have a very high chance of not finding business logic outside of the application core. Insights command is good. It will work on the same input. On the insights is very good that you brought this. Insights is looking at your own prompting, telling where you suck at prompting. But what he asked is about how can I improve on the skills, not my skills, on the markdown files. How can we build this auto-improve? So both work. This will teach you how to do better, and do the same ideas apply from front-end code. Yes, the front-end has a big problem though. LLMs suck at user experience. No matter how many skills you put them, front-end design skills is a must-have. They will still require a human overview. One idea I heard recently, but it's a bit wild, honestly, to me to understand fully. You know, a button, we have a custom component button. You are not allowed to actually type button anymore. You should use our own custom component. So there was a review agent that was doing screenshots of the pixel of the screen before the PR, after the PR, pixel comparison, highlighting the areas that have changed. And then in those areas, another agent was looking, and it was sniffing for components. So it was kind of looking, hey, this looks like a button. If it's a button in the code, I should see a custom button. So it was trying to infer that if I see a button in the screen, in the code, my custom component button should be present. Really interesting, like visually matching. This feels like a button. Where's the button? Guided by pixel indication. This is the area where something is new or changed. And the pixel perfect comparison, my God, what you can do with those if you just, sky is the limit. Hello from Romania. Is spec-driven development what most teams find successful rather than driving on scoped components and be part of the done? The end is a bit hard to read. So let me try to put it on the screen here. 1 second. So spec-driven development, what most teams find successful? I would say yes. And it's good for a lot of complexity or weaker model. Like if you have an opus, a big chunk of spec-driven is kind of waste. I don't know. I mean, the model, we are trying to compensate for at least part of the markdown, not all. The part of the markdown that tells the agent slicely what to do will not be needed anymore in the future. So no, I'm afraid that the agent grows better and better into orchestration. So we won't need the tasks markdown in the future. We're just going to give the task to do to Opus 4.9, and the Opus is going to spawn the agents, sub-agents to do the work without us having to slice it down beforehand. We are doing this slicing to be able to use weaker models or parallelize more. That's exactly the specialty of Opus 4.7 and 4.8, orchestration. You just hand the big task to Opus, and Opus is going to handle it. This part is going to become redundant. Yeah, please.
Hello. Yeah, I think to add on that one, on the second one, if you stay kind of close to the design, you don't have to kind of guess, I don't know, think of everything up front. That might be an issue if you do that.
We will always require this. We will always require the architecture to do the design steering. We should be ultimately designing. If you don't want to see horror in the code review, we should be architectural designing, but the task breakdown is not necessary for a smart model.
Yeah, I was thinking if you're kind of part of the process, let's say, you may discover something there, right, that was missed initially even from that initial breakdown, basically.
Beautiful. You realize here that there is stuff that might require you cutting the Jira into pieces, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Correct. My time is kind of over, guys. I have to jump back to my to the group. So, guys, thank you so much for the discussion, for the question. I wish we had more time, but this is a very hot topic. Things are gonna, and I only wish you guys, if you can go to a maternal, paternal leave for 2 years until the water settle down. Do that. Start making babies until things get settled down, because right now things are churning in a rate that you hard to. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you
hope
so
it
much,
was-
Vic, for joining us. And I'm sure everyone has enjoyed the session. It was awesome. And thank you to everyone who have joined. Thank you.
Just a second to paste my notes into your Teams. You can then put them wherever you want to post them. I wrote these for you, basically. Okay, good. Thank you very much, guys. See you. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
La révolution. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.